Tier 7 Minor Celestials. Ever wondered who cleans up the galactic mess after space giants visit a planet? The 7th tier of the celestial hierarchy hosts the Minor Celestials, but honestly calling these giant armored freaks minor feels like calling a nuclear bomb a mild headache, since one sloppy hand gesture from them can pop a planet like bubble wrap. Inside a grand celestial host, these huge folks work as a basic logistics crew, scientists and harvesters and nerdy observers. Landing on a brand new world doesn't mean they start blowing up continents right away. They take their sweet time gathering hard data like super dictated cosmic scientists taking a tiny tissue sample from a twitching patient. Aggressive street fights are really not their style unless some brave local idiot punches them first. Their primary cosmic code forces them to totally grab pristine genetic samples from the higher-ups to study. Because of this boring job, their main ability focuses heavily on crazy biological editing, spatial traps, and processing massive data across multiple universes. Gamnon the Gatherer. Imagine a giant gilded refrigerator walking across your city to kidnap your whole family. Gamnon the Gatherer acts as the absolute tip of the spear for every data hunting mission the Celestials launch. Shiny golden armor covers his massive body from head to toe, and he carries a huge specialized stick that makes him look like a cosmic referee. His main job during any planetary visit involves stomping across continents to grab specimens of dominant species, weird mutants, and normal locals. During the first, second, third, and fourth hosts to hit Earth, Gamnon personally scooped up a bunch of Eternals, Deviants, and regular human beings. He knocked them out cold, stacked them neatly for biological scans. The big gold guy acts like an endlessly cold machine with zero human empathy, floating through the stars like an aggressive gardener harvesting fresh space veggies. His shiny staff is way more than just a giant blunt pipe to whack noisy bugs with. The staff works as a super high-tech cosmic shotgun. The moment this electric stick pokes a living target, the creature falls fast asleep, their bioelectric energy shuts down, and their tiny molecules freeze completely solid to protect them during transport. Beyond that weird trick, Gamnon can rewrite living matter on an atomic scale. Whole crowds of captured victims shrink down instantly into glowing blocks of raw atomic juice, turning screaming living people into quiet literal data cubes stored inside his heavy armor pockets. On top of all those weird kidnapping tools, he shares the standard invincible traits of all Celestials. His body ignores heavy physical damage, his hands bend planetary cosmic energy, and his mind can hijack weak brains. During a giant fight in Thor issue 300, Gamnon stood tall alongside his buddies against Odin wearing the Destroyer armor, calmly taking hits that would vaporize regular gods like cheap paper. Honestly, getting compressed into a glowing cosmic brick sounds like a great way to save on rent. Jamaa the Analyzer. What happens when you give an invincible cosmic nerd a giant green suit of space armor? Working right beside Gamnon, Jamaa the Analyzer takes over the next step of the grand science experiment. Gamnon plucks the wild space fruits from the ground and Jamaa cuts them open with microscopic scientific tools. Clad in bright emerald green armor, this giant rarely bothers walking around the dirty surface of a target planet. Sitting still is his main passion. During the fourth host on Earth, Jamaa chilled inside the towering structure called the City of the Space Gods, tucked high in the cold Andes Mountains. His only obsession involves taking the fresh specimens delivered by Gamnon, shoving them into mind-bending diagnostic machines, and reading their evolutionary secrets like an open book. Superior cosmic intelligence drives his absolute mastery over complex biological sciences. His brain operates like an impossible quantum supercomputer that reads the whole genetic history of a species in 2 seconds flat. Watching invisible DNA strands is easy for him, tracing ancient mutation lines over millions of years while predicting where the species will end up in the future. During testing, Jamaa can take living beings apart down to subatomic dust and glue them back together without killing them once. Reading the raw code of reality is just a normal Tuesday for this guy. Hostile fighters rarely force him to throw a punch, because the defensive energy shields around his lab drop any mortal hero or divine god flat on their back. His destructible outer shell holds back hyperspatial energy, keeping him immune to Earth, diseases, toxins, and physical decay. Judging entire civilizations purely on math instead of morals makes him the ultimate cold perfectionist. At least your terrible genetic code gives a giant green alien a really good laugh. Tier 6 Standard Host Specialists. Ready for the giant muscleheads who turn pristine continents into giant parking lots? Step up to the 6th tier, where we meet the Standard Host Specialists. After the nerdy 7th tier finishes scanning the local wildlife, these big guys jump down to test the physical durability of the planet itself. They also act as heavy muscle to make sure no annoying locals mess with the worksite. Mapping deep tectonic plates, testing air quality, and smashing stubborn native armies are all part of the normal workday for these armored titans. Physical size defines their terrifying nature, along with massive destructive shields and direct control over natural elements. They smash obstacles with movable weight, operating like giant unstoppable bulldozers across the galactic landscape. Eson the Searcher. A giant space robot with a head full of multicolored laser lenses approaches your neighborhood right now. Eson the Searcher ranks among the most insanely destructive guys in the Standard Host despite his funny search engine name. Bright green armor covers his giant frame, highlighting by a creepy face filled with giant optic lenses that constantly spin and focus on target locations. Eson scans every corner of a world, digging up hidden underground cities and mapping weird planetary bugs. His search style is extremely loud and ugly, since he prefers violently blowing up terrain instead of looking quietly through a spyglass. Marvel comic fans remember Eson best for his terrible temper during the second Host on Earth, where he completely erased the underwater deviant empire of Lemuria. When the angry deviants shot back at the Host, Eson lost his cool, firing cosmic blasts that snapped a whole continent into pieces and drowned a civilization in minutes. Devastating environmental control and terrifying energy blasts make Eson a total nightmare to fight. Those glowing helmet lenses act as massive energy cannons, capable of frying entire cities and piercing right through magical illusions. Earthquakes obey his direct commands, allowing him to split deep oceans or elevate giant mountain ranges with a lazy wave of his heavy glove. Physical combat with Eson usually ends terribly for the locals. Direct energy attacks hit his armor and get absorbed, turning enemy weapons into fresh ammo for his own cannons. Battles against Earth gods show his physical skills defy standard measurement, letting him slap legendary warriors out of the sky like annoying flies. What makes it even crazier is how his massive size lets him crush whole armies without even looking down. Still, walking around with a giant camera for a face must make private personal time really awkward. Terrell the Surveyor. Ever wondered how a space giant measures a mountain without taking out a tiny ruler? Terrell the Surveyor works side by side with Eson, but focuses on measuring planetary dirt instead of fighting local civilizations. Heavy, brutalist armor gives Terrell a very chunky look compared to his flashy green brothers, perfectly fitting his construction worker persona. His ultimate goal involves precise mapping of planetary geography, structural stability, and atmospheric layers. Diving into ocean trenches, floating through burning magma cores, and scanning magnetic fields help him build a massive topographical map of the entire globe. Terrell decides if a planet can handle crazy evolutionary upgrades or if the whole dirt ball is structurally broken and ready for the trash heap. Mastery over physical matter makes Terrell an absolute beast when handling planetary terrain. His crazy geological powers outshine most space entities, letting him adjust rock density and control magma flows deep inside the molten core. Heavy armor designs him to dive into intense oceanic pressure zones without taking a single scratch. Enemies trying to fight Terrell find themselves crushed by their own surroundings as he turns local dirt into heavy traps or localized black holes. Manipulating gravity fields comes naturally to him, letting him crush bad guys under their own weight or bounce them around like floating beach balls. What's worse, his analytical eyes spot instantly structural flaws in any magical field or stone fortress, letting him snap defenses with small bursts of cosmic energy. Being a giant cosmic land surveyor sounds great until you realize your job involves deleting flawed worlds. Tier 5 Planetary Executioners. Who steps up when a planet gets a failing grade on its cosmic final exam? Moving up from the 5th tier brings us face to face with the Supreme Planetary Executioners. These guys do not bother gathering genetic samples, running lab tests, or mapping pretty rivers. Their main job involves handing down absolute judgment on full civilizations. After reading the boring reports compiled by their lower tiers, these big bosses sign the final death warrant or grant a pass for another 1,000,000 years. If a world fails the test, these entities step down and personally wipe out all biological life on the surface. Power levels at this tier make lower celestials look small, boasting enough raw energy to crack stars like eggs and beat whole groups of mythological gods at the exact same time. Arishem the Judge. A red giant entity with a giant bucket head holds the power to delete your entire planet with a single finger move. Arishem the Judge acts as the absolute big boss of the 4 celestial hosts that visit Earth, standing as the most iconic space god in the business. Crimson red armor covers his massive frame, topped with a giant cylindrical crest that makes him instantly recognizable across the universe. Arishem alone decides if a target world lives or dies after checking the reports from Gamnon and Jamaa. His final decision comes down to a super simple hand movement, pointing his giant red thumb straight up or flipping it down. During the 4th host, the entire population of Earth held its breath, knowing a thumbs down meant absolute planetary deletion. Silent and cold, he calculates the value of billions of lives using secret cosmic formulas that mortal brains cannot comprehend. Supreme energy manipulation makes Arishem practically invincible against any force in creation. During the wild finale of the 4th host in Thor issue 300, Odin gathered the entire soul power of Asgard inside the destroyer armor while swinging the massive Odin sword. Odin slammed the sword straight into Arishem with universal force, but the red giant barely blinked. Arishem and his pals took the hit, melted the giant sword into useless soup, and scattered the destroyer armor into pieces, forcing Odin to bow down in total defeat. On top of that, Arishem bends space and time without breaking a sweat. He locked the entire planet inside an impenetrable cosmic cage, cutting off legendary gods like Zeus, Odin, and Vishnu from their human believers. What's even crazier is how he erases physical matter with a random thought, firing energy beams that wipe out whole space fleets. Getting rejected by a giant red guy giving you a thumbs down really ruins your whole weekend. Exitar the Exterminator. What arrives at your planet when you fail a cosmic test and the giant red boss calls for the extreme ultimate cleanup crew? Exitar the Exterminator functions as a rare, terrifying entity inside the hierarchy, serving as a localized walking disaster. Standard Celestials stand around 2,000 feet tall, but Exitar stretches up to a ridiculous 20,000 feet, poking his head right through the upper clouds. Exitar skips the boring observation steps entirely, focusing all his energy on total atomic purification. As the ultimate executioner, he breaks condemned worlds down to basic anatomic dust, wiping the slate completely clean so new life could start over. Apocalyptic destruction defines his entire toolkit, operating on a scale that makes normal supervillains look like tiny ants. Exitar does not just blow up rocks with red lasers, he starts a deep atmospheric cleanup that melts biological structures down to basic cellular fluid. Environmental forces obey his absolute commands, letting him turn off magnetic shields, boil oceans in a second, and pull away planetary air with a tiny flex of his will. Stopping him in combat is virtually impossible for standard heroes. In the comic pages of Uncanny Avengers, Earth's strongest fighters needed Thor swinging the special celestial slaying axe, Jarnbjorn, just to put a tiny crack in Exitar's helmet, unleashing an energy wave that almost broke reality itself. What makes it even crazier is his shield network, which easily tanks exploding stars while his main weapons reset the evolutionary clock for whole star systems. Tier 4, Ancient Primordials. Who lived in the dark spaces of the universe long before the modern space hosts organized their little science tours? Crossing over to the 4th tier introduces us to the Ancient Primordials. Outliers by nature, these weird entities exist outside normal operational bounds, with origins stretching back to the literal birth of cosmic time. Chaos defines their behavior, since many of them suffered weird mutations or corruptions over the eons. Standard routines like DNA testing or mapping mountains mean nothing to them. Instead, their untamed power connects directly to raw life and death forces, making them super unpredictable and historically important to planets like Earth. The Progenitor. A dying cosmic god crashes into a young planet and pukes his weird infection into the primordial mud. The Progenitor holds a super weird place in Earth's history, as revealed in Jason Aaron's Big Avengers comic run. Classified as an alpha celestial, this ancient giant existed long before standard hosts were even a thing. Billions of years ago, before Earth had proper continents, this huge guy crashed into the mud while dying from a terrible space sickness. He did not come to scan animals or judge morality, he came because he was super sick and desperate. A bug infection called the Horde, which acts like a space locust, invades his body and ate him from the inside out. Dying in complete agony, his giant infected corpse collapsed right into the dirt, turning into a permanent landmark. Decaying biomatter from his corpse completely changed the evolutionary path of our entire planet. As his armor broke down, infected cosmic blood and space puke leaked into the primitive ocean soup, acting as a massive supercharger for random genetic mutations. His gross fluids caused the sudden rise of superhumans, mutants, and wild-powered individuals across human history. Earth became a special superhero hub purely because it was fertilized by a rotting space god. Alive, he commanded primordial creation powers capable of seeding whole galaxies with fresh life. Millions of years later, the Avengers cleaned out his giant hollow skull and turned it into the Avengers Mountain Base. Residual power still leaks from his massive bones, tethering local teleporters and serving as a funny reminder that human superpowers came from cosmic vomit. Dying on a barren rock just to become a fancy superhero clubhouse is top-tier irony. Zgreb the Sorrower. What happens when a giant space god gets her heart broken and turns into a walking plague? Zgreb the Sorrower shares a super dark story tied directly to the sad fate of the Progenitor. Known as an ancient celestial, Zgreb was basically the romantic partner of the doomed Progenitor long ago. When the Progenitor went missing in deep space, Zgreb skipped standard duties and searched the galaxy, eventually following a cold cosmic trail straight to Earth. Finding her lover rotting in the dirt broke her heart, but things got way worse when the bug swarm attacked her too. The Horde infected her brain and body, turning a beautiful space artist into a creepy monster. Dark energy replaced her radiant cosmic power, transforming her into a dark celestial instead of spreading absolute rot. Instead of growing fun life forms, Zgreb became the avatar of decay and biological breakdown. Controlling the Horde swarm became second nature, letting her order millions of space locusts to strip off meat off of planets and swallow stars whole. Black energy blasts shot from her hands, causing instant cellular death to anything they touched. Beating Zgreb took everything the prehistoric Avengers had, forcing Odin, the first Phoenix, Agamotto, and the original Black Panther to team up and bury her deep under the ground. What's worse, her dark presence corrupted local soil for thousands of years, turning into a giant bug-controlled zombie because your partner died is definitely an extreme way to handle a breakup. Tier 3 Cosmic Constructs. Climbing higher into the cosmic soup, we hit the third tier filled with cosmic constructs. Standard jobs like chopping up alien DNA or blowing up continents are way beneath these huge folks. Instead, these weird entities embody wild universe concepts, acting like giant living batteries or strange space glitches that break normal celestial code. Mind-bending universe events constantly shape their existence, turning them into living anchors for reality itself. Regular host missions do not bind them, making their random actions completely unpredictable. Powers at this level bend reality, change deep physical laws, and rewrite reality fast. Tiamat, the Dreaming Celestials. Standing up to your angry giant boss usually gets you fired, but for Tiamat the Dreaming Celestial, it got him buried under a mountain. Originally serving as the great communicator during the second host, Tiamat turned against Arishem after deciding the deviant species deserved a fair chance. The big host beat him down, took his soul, and buried his gold body under California mountains. Sleeping under dirt for thousands of years did not stop his golden frame from leaking wild power. Evolution hit him hard, granting him a mortal soul and deep sympathy for tiny mortals. Comatose sleeping states barely stopped his massive brain from warping reality across the entire world. Passive mind waves protected Earth from scary alien threats, making normal human telepaths look like cheap walkie-talkies. Waking up briefly allowed him to slap away the Avengers and Fantastic Four like tiny harmless bugs. What makes it even crazier, he can rewrite the DNA of every living Earth creature at the exact same time. On top of that, he evolved into a higher reality state alongside the Fulcrum, gaining pure universal power. Sleeping in California dirt for thousands of years really gives a giant space god terrible lower back pain. Starchild. A shiny baby born inside a giant burning star sounds like a total headache for galactic babysitters. Starchild breaks all normal space god rules by starting out as an actual tiny infant instead of an ancient armored god. Leonardo da Vinci and the Brotherhood of the Shield helped gestate him right inside our sun. Blinding cosmic light radiates from his small humanoid body, completely changing how we view space god life cycles. Unlimited growth potential defines his narrative path, guiding the universe towards wild new beginnings. Unchecked power leaks out from his tiny hands because he lacks strict training. Uncontrolled infant tantrums nearly blew up our solar system, threatening to cook surrounding space rocks into floating ash. Space-time laws bend around his floating body, creating tiny reality pockets whenever he gets scared. What's worse, his brain connects directly to the core multiversal timeline, granting him deep knowledge of reality mechanics. On top of that, his mind can invent totally new physics laws whenever he grows up. Having a baby that can accidentally blow up your solar system makes normal dirty diapers look extremely manageable. Tier 2, Multiversal Leaders. Stepping into the second tier means leaving individual galaxies behind to focus on the entire multiverse. Multi-universal leaders watch over infinite reality layers to prevent total cosmic collapse. Energy blasts are basic stuff to them, since they command the actual metaphysical laws holding space together. Huge multiversal arguments force these big leaders to step down and fix reality before everything vanishes into black nothingness. Standard Celestials bow down in pure terror whenever these massive leaders walk into the room. The One Above All. Wearing shiny Supreme Leader armor, the One Above All runs the entire celestial race across all alternate realities. Do not confuse this big armored boss with the literal creator god who shares this exact same name. Planetary visits are way beneath his pay grade, so he only pops up when whole multiversal timelines face absolute erasure. Floating around on a massive mothership, he silently directs every host experiment across infinite universes. Mysterious vibes surround his massive frame, making him the supreme mastermind behind endless cosmic creation and total destruction. Multiversal reconstruction comes naturally to this supreme boss, far exceeding simple planet-busting attacks. Dead timelines snap back to life under his command, while entire galaxies warp across dimensions instantly. Attacks capable of destroying standard space gods bounce off his impenetrable armor like tiny harmless pebbles. What makes it even crazier, his brain acts as a central psychic database holding all celestial knowledge collected over billions of years. On top of that, he calculates infinite future timelines while rewriting reality codes to keep his species supreme. Leading a race of giant space gods must make office staff meetings brutally awkward. Scathan the Approver. Making a giant space god mad scary, but getting a thumbs down from Scathan the Approver ends your whole universe. First appearing during the Guardians of the Galaxy timeline, Scathan functions as a cold multiversal auditor who checks broken reality rules. When the crazy villain Protege copied the powers of the Living Tribunal, Scathan showed up to deliver final judgment. Silent gestures define his approval, making him one of the most terrifying judges in existence. His raw power easily dwarfs most abstract entities across the entire Marvel multiverse. Protege tried claiming supreme control over reality, but Scathan captured and sealed the crazy villain without dropping sweat. Cosmic abstracts like eternity failed completely, yet Scathan fixed the whole crisis with a simple thumbs down gesture. Unstoppable multiversal energy blasts shoot from his hands, crushing fake gods who try to break reality rules. What's worse, his cosmic approval authority bypasses standard energy shields, making his final decisions absolute across all timelines. Showing up to work just to give evil space villains a silent thumbs down sounds like a great lazy career move. Tier 1, Primordial Creator. Reaching the top brings us face to face with the absolute origin of all cosmic life. The Primordial Creator built the fundamental rules that keep the entire multiverse functioning smoothly every single day. Normal host hierarchies mean nothing to these ultimate entities, as they predated the birth of time itself. Balance drives their existence, keeping the infinite scales of reality completely stable across endless dimensions. Power metrics fail completely here because these entities write the actual source code of creation. The Fulcrum. Serving drinks at a quiet cosmic bar is a weird hobby for the supreme god of the universe. The Fulcrum sits at the absolute top of existence, serving as the ultimate power source for every celestial across reality. Disguising himself as a friendly bartender named Jack, he hangs out in the vestibule realm where dead space gods gather. Unmatched authority belongs to him alone, making even the one above all bow down in total submission. Philosophical thoughts occupy his time, proving his supreme omnipotence can come in a surprisingly casual package. Quantifying his power is impossible, because he exists far outside normal cosmic energy rules. Whole universes vanish or pop into existence simply because he feels like writing them into reality. Fallen space gods regain their life and armor whenever he decides to rewrite their tragic cosmic fates. What's worse, the entire architectural code of reality relies entirely on his eternal balance to keep running. On top of that, his ultimate authority remains completely unchallenged by any cosmic entity across infinite space. You gotta admit, pouring cheap cosmic drinks while casually running the whole multiverse sounds like the ultimate work-from-home setup. Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.